In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step instructions on how to replace the front screen on the iPhone 15. Begin by powering down the device. Then take a pentalobe screwdriver and remove the 2 screws from the bottom of the phone. If the bottom third of the phone isn't too damaged, take a suction cup and attach it to that bottom third. Then take half a Dorco blade and then we're going to insert it between the bottom of the screen and the chassis of the phone, right at the bottom there. It will help if you add a few drops of isopropyl alcohol to the edge where you just put that blade. And now all that we're going to do is pull back on the Dorco blade and lift up with the suction cup. And what you're going to find is that's going to sort of pry it out and just pop the screen out of the chassis. You might feel like you're putting too much force on it. Don't worry. Eventually, it should just pop out of the chassis. It's about to go now. That popped a little bit violently. Normally, it comes out a little bit easier than that. I'm not sure what I was doing wrong there. But now that we've lifted it up a bit and we've got a gap just there, we can take one of these iFixit guitar picks and we're going to run that edge of the pick along the edge of the phone between the screen and chassis. I'm not inserting it too far, I'm just a few millimeters in with the pick and we're just running it along the edge to separate the screen from the chassis. Once you get to this point that you've got all the bottom side, left side and right side, or left side and right side lifted out, then you can lift up from the bottom, give it a wiggle from side to side, and then it should pop out just like that. If it doesn't pop out too easy, then just insert the pick and just pop it out that way. This screen opens up just like a front cover of a book, and I've left the suction cup on the screen just to act as a prop whilst I am working inside the phone. Now that we're into the phone, we're going to use a tri-wing screwdriver and remove this screw here. Use tweezers to lift up the shield. Store the screw and that little shield in the same place together so that you remember where they go back. Then you can use a plastic spudger just to disconnect that screen cable. Move up the top now, and we've just got that flex cable for the proximity sensor to replace, or remove, sorry. Use a tri-wing screwdriver again, tweezers to remove the shield, and the spudger to disconnect the flex cable. That now means that we can remove the screen from the chassis, and I'm going to start off by removing all the adhesive from this housing. This adhesive is notoriously tough, and the easiest way that I've found to do this is with one of these short chisely blades, and it just fits in that gap there, so you can run the blade along and scrape away the adhesive that holds down the screen. I know for a fact that a lot of you will not remove this adhesive, but I'll explain when we put the new seal on in a minute. I'll explain why it's important. Most screens these days come with the adhesive included in them, so it's not worth not using it. This blade's a little bit small, a little bit big for it. It sits in like a recess, so that's what makes it awkward on this model. So you're just going to work your way around. Be careful not to poke anything important, although it is a lot safer on this model than older models. You're not going to pop the battery, not easily anyway. Sometimes you'll get a bonus bit where you can just pull it and it comes away, but these are few and far between on this model because the adhesive is very strong. Although, looks like we're having a bit of luck today. If you are pulling it off, try and keep it as low down as possible to the chassis, because it sort of stretches it out to remove it, if that makes sense. So I'm just using the tweezers now to clear up any bits what were a little bit too tight to get the blade into, so that we can make sure that it's real nice and clean before applying the adhesive. So now I'm just going to use a really fine metal brush just to pick up any of the remaining bits and dirt and stuff what sticks to this this part here. There's still a bit of adhesive there. Some of it's awkward, some of it's easy to remove. Use this brush all the way around. That's going to get rid of any of the really sort of driven in gunk. Get that out of there. Just be careful around this area. In fact, don't even touch this part with the brush because you don't want to damage any of the Face ID components. I'm going to put this to one side now, just give it a little dusting off as well, make sure that it's clean, and I'll put this to one side and prepare the new screen. To prepare the new screen, we need to remove this guy from the old screen. So to do that, it's very simple. You need a crosshead screwdriver, remove this little shield here, store the screw with the shield so you don't lose it, and then you can use a heat gun, a hairdryer, whatever. Get this really nice and warm. I'm using a heat gun set to 200 degrees C, and I'm going to warm up all this area. This flex cable here is stuck down really well to the back of the screen. The adhesive is very strong on it. It's also very fragile, and if you break this, you're going to make Face ID stop working. So what I'm going to do, I'm just using the tweezers to separate the bottom part of this cable from the screen, and now I'm going to lift that little bit up. That's the proximity sensor that we're lifting there. We'll get that out of the way, and then I'm going to use the tweezers again, and I'm just peeling up very slowly, holding the hot air gun at it. You can use alcohol to do this as well, and once you've got a pull on it, you can lift it out just like that. Nice and easy, but just be careful not to damage this cable. Now we can discard or recycle this screen, do whatever's necessary. I've just burnt it a bit. It was already screwed anyway, so I wasn't too worried about that. The screen that I'm using for it, it is a ultra soft OLED from one of our suppliers. I'll stick a link in the description below, and yeah, it looks like that. It includes seal. It's also got one of these little guys on there. I'm not going to use this in this video because the customer's not paid for that service. But basically what this little thing allows is for us to remove the old chip and attach it onto there, and then it'll not show the non-genuine part warning. For the sake of this video, we're not doing it. Now it's just a case of removing the plastic on the back of the screen. These plastic films on the back of the screens are getting stuck down harder and harder every time there's a new screen out. And then we're going to line up the proximity sensor, and then we're just going to stick down, making sure that it looks like it's going in the right place. Generally, once you've got that proximity sensor in, the rest of it will follow, as long as you don't bend it too much. But that's stuck down now. Next, it's that little shield that goes down there. Now we can put this to one side, get the chassis back, and we've got the little adhesive seal to go on there. It's very obvious which way these go. There's holes for the camera up at the top and a little indentation for the ear speaker. And then if you're lining it up in the top left corner first, then line it up on this left hand edge, and then if you've got it right, the rest of it will fit real nice. If it doesn't fit, it's because you've not lined it up properly, or it's the wrong adhesive. Once you've stuck it on, use the flat end of the black plastic stick or the spudger to make sure that it's pushed down real nice into those corners and it's stuck well. This is why it's important to make sure that that edge is clean, because if it's not, then this will not stick very well to it at all. You can now peel off the top layer, and what it's going to do, it'll leave a blue film behind. I always pull that off the very last thing before I seal it up, just because dust and contaminants can get onto it, and we don't really want that. So now that's ready, we can offer up the screen cable first of all. Make sure that that's pushed down and is secure, and it's got a little like latch on it. It latches under there and then lines up with the rest just there. Secure it down with the tri-wing screwdriver, and now up to the top we've got one more flex cable to attach. So just make sure that that attaches properly. It is awkward, it's easy to break that flex cable. The good news is about this flex cable, I didn't say this before, but in iOS 18.1 that cable is actually replaceable. As long as you're using a used part, you can replace it and recalibrate it with the new software, which is good news for heavily handed repairers. So just the shield on there and that one screw that holds it down. It's a good time to check that the phone turns on and the display works before sealing it up. We've got image, and then finally, if you look on the adhesive strips, you've just got a few little pull tabs that you can get hold of and work your way around. Same again on this side, and then you have to fold the screen down, grab hold of these ones. Now that it's ready, you're going to drop the top in first, make sure that that lines up and sits correctly in the housing, then work your way down both edges, tightening it in and making sure that it's stuck down. Finally, we've just got the two pentalobe screws at the bottom of the phone. Star screws, pentalobe screws, whatever you want to call them. Make sure that they are tightened up nicely, because that's going to hold it on, and make sure the screen doesn't fall off when you drop it. I think that just about completes this repair. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.